if you're a football fan, you might think he sold it well, but he didn't. He did not sell that ankle at all. But they did a good job, I think, of putting out a game where the only thing going to be questioned here is going to be the officiating and maybe a few people mad at 58. And again, they're still going to blame the officials because they made the call and they were the ones who it's planting seeds all game. They that all these tick-tack calls, and now the most important call of the game, and they have no choice but to call it. So I think it's going to be injuries is going to be a talking point going into the offseason, obviously, but the officiating is going to be. They're going to go. They went about 2-3 years without the officials screwing up. They had the replacement refs. Then obviously they had a bunch of bad calls after them even, and the phantom pass interferences, and the NFL switched it up, and they're like, all right, now we'll just have the players kind of screw up assignments. Well, obviously the players weren't ready for it because very quickly you can see how they have, again, when McAfee, the biggest guy that for the NFL, like the biggest draw, is out there telling people, as far as his channel and his brand, telling people weeks removed from saying it was rigged. Oh, it's not rigged for entertainment. It can't be. Everyone would have to know about it. And they kind of place it on the. They even put it on the officials in his video. They're like, well, I could see. They actually specifically said if a team's up by a certain amount of points, I could see the officials not caring as much and maybe just calling more penalties or calling less penalties. That was what I believe it was Watt's response, or who was the guy? AJ Hawk. I always get those guys mixed up. I think it was AJ Hawk or TJ Hawk. Whoever's on the show with Pat, he was basically saying how officials will not care as much if it's a blowout. So maybe that they were trying to explain why so many penalties were called on the Niners. But then there was a bunch called this game. So I think we're going to hear nothing but Pat McAfee talk about how horrible the officiating was. And that's real. I could be wrong, but I think he's just going to really hammer that home because they made a point of having the officials look just god-awful. And then they'll talk about how, the Niners really didn't have a chance because of the quarterbacks. But let's see what the officiating talk is going forward and see if we're ahead of that narrative, because I think we are. I think they're switching right to them, and that will explain whatever happens in the Super Bowl. And then they can't say, it was rigged one way or another. So again, let me.
Bengals fans are calling the NFL rigged louder than everybody else that has been calling the NFL rigged, and this is going to become a problem, especially when all eyes are on the championship game. That first game, the NFC Championship, obviously everybody had plans on Sunday to watch both games. They lose both their quarterbacks. That game gets it going how it is. I think a lot of people kind of drifted away from their TVs, and they thought to themselves, Joey Burrow and Patrick Mahomes are going to be playing. I'll get retooled for that particular game. I don't know what the ratings are going to be. I assume it's going to be bananas.
Oh, yeah.
I assume it's going to be near 50 million people. 50 million people started watching and questioning every single thing that those refs were doing because that's how poor the fucking refs were. Now, obviously, you talk about the way the game ended with a punt, and there was a potential block in the back with a big return, then a late push, and that's 15 more yards, and then a 3rd and 9 that they had to redo because there was a back ref and a wide 22 version that you see definitely come running in moments before the ball is snapped, because his job is keep an eye on the clock to see if the clock is right or not. So he comes running in, doesn't blow his whistle.
Come on. Interesting.
Because the NFL and a lot of people are showing, hey, he definitely ran in. It was like, did he blow?
Too cold for a whistle.
Did he blow his whistle? Yeah. Did Cat get your dunk? Why didn't you blow your fucking whistle then?